Last week I was at FinCon. FinCon is a conference of people who are interested in finances and social media and sharing their knowledge. And I got on a bus and sat down next to a gentleman I didn't know, and it turned out to be Jeremy Keil, or Keil, I'm not real sure. And we got to talking about what each of us did. And he's a financial advisor out of, I believe he said, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And the conversation got to investments and the down market. And he said, "Where are you putting your cash?" And I said, "Well, I'm actually searching for a place because I'm going to go to a lot of cash." And he said, "What do you know about Ibonds?" And I said, "Well, I know what they are, but I don't really know the workings of them and what it's all about." He said, "Well, I've done a lot of work on Ibonds. In fact, I've written a white paper on it. Would you like a copy of it?" I said, "I sure would." So we exchanged cards, and then I asked him, "Would you be willing to come onto my YouTube channel and explain to Ibonds to my viewers to find out maybe it's something they'd be interested in?" And he said, "Sure, I would." So we've communicated, and he's agreed to come on to a Zoom call with me and explain to us what the advantage of Ibonds. So let me cue him up, and let's learn something together here today.
Best of Us Investors presents Carrie Griegmeyer.
This is Jeremy Keil. He's a financial advisor in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I explained to you how we met. Jeremy, what I'd like you to do for me and my viewers is explain to us the iPond. You explained to me, a lot of people don't know about it because there's no commission involved in it. And I thought that was an interesting piece of information. So I know nothing about iBonds. You tell me why I should get involved in it, particularly now, and what it will do for me.
Yeah, so an iBond is basically the savings bond your grandparents gave you when you were a little kid, right? You remember
Right.
getting these paper
Christmas,
savings bonds? Yeah, Christmas, your
a
birthdays.
$10 bond.
You got it. Yeah. So it's basically the same thing. The technical term is U.S. Series I savings bond. It is a savings bond from the U.S. government, and they are promising you some level of interest. Well, thankfully, and interesting enough, this level of interest is based on the inflation rate. These have been around for almost 25 years. No one seemed to care about them for about 24 years. And then the middle of 2021, inflation started kicking up to the point where the way these bonds get interest, the interest started kicking up. And now these rates are just amazingly high compared to similar other types of accounts. So the first thing you got to know about a iBond is that it is a savings bond. It is based on inflation, and there are some rules about that. I'll tell you one rule that you got to really keep in mind is you cannot cash out this savings bond for 12 months. You
Okay.
want your money back 10 months from now, no matter how hard you try, you cannot get this money out. So this is a replacement to maybe a CD ladder, something where you think and believe you will not be using this money for at least 12 months, and then you can put the money over into that savings bond called the iBond. Right now, through October, through the end of October, the rate is 9.62%.
Okay. You say through the end of October. What happens after October?
Yeah, so the iBond, well, inflation changes all the time, and the iBond, the way their inflation rate is credited is twice a year in November and May, you get the new inflation rate. And that inflation rate is based on what's already happened with inflation. So the inflation through the end of September will get released in October. And then in November, the iBond rate will change. And so you'll see news articles, you'll see where it says this is the new iBond rate. And so 9.62 is the rate you get if you bought in May of 2022, any month through the end of October 2022, 9.62%. You get that for the initial 6 months. So if you buy in October, you will get that same exact 9.62% rate for the next 6 months.
Okay.
The rate doesn't change in November. It's just the renewal rate changes in November. Your
Okay, let
rate
me
does
see
not
if I
change for
understand
6
this.
months.
Let me see if I understand this. So in November, it will reset, and that will not take effect until next May. Is that correct?
So in November, it resets in that if you buy an Ibond today,
Mm-hmm.
you're locked in at that rate for 6 months.
Okay.
And so any renewal or any new purchase that happens from November 2022 through April 2023 will be at that new rate. So
Okay.
if you buy in October, you get that same 9.62 for
Mm-hmm.
6 months. Then you'll get another rate, a renewal rate, and you'll find out what that rate is in November. Now, right now, that
Oh,
rate is trending towards roughly 7%. So right now, you know for a fact what your first 6 months would be, 9.62%. You've got a pretty strong guess at it that roughly 7% is what that renewal rate will come in.
okay. So it might go down, and that is because inflation has come down.
That's exactly it. I keep track of CPIU. That's the most common inflation measure. And you've got to take a look at what happened from March until September. That's how they're going to track it and say this is what the new rate will be in November. Interesting enough, the last 2 months, the last two releases for inflation, the number's gone down. Inflation's actually gone down two
Yeah.
months straight. So we've got 5 months out of six. We've got a good guess at what the renewal rate will be. But it's so interesting that this inflation rate that you might get in November or whenever your renewal is based on what's already happened, kind of like the middle of 2022.
Okay. Okay. Now, so I'm locked in for a year, and
You
there's no
got it.
way I
You
can get it
cannot
out, right?
cannot take it out for 12 months.
Okay. What happens at the end of 12 months?
So it's not like a CD where the 12 months is done and it renews or you got to cash it out or there's different interest rate, things like that. You can keep holding on to this. You can earn interest on the I-bond for up to 30 years. After the 12-month mark, you can take it out anytime that you want. It's just that the first 5 years, they're going to take away your prior 3 months of interest. So it's somewhat of a penalty, just like maybe CDs might have. And some people just hate the idea of a penalty. But when you go out and get 9.6% for 6 months, then you get what's likely around 7% for the next 6 months. That's about 8.5 percentage points of interest for a full year. If they take away a little bit of that, you are light years ahead compared to something that's very similar, a 12-month CD or a 12-month treasury bill or any 12-month type of investment. Even money markets and savings accounts are around 2% at the highest amount. And here's something where you can go get triple, quadruple those rates. You just
Mm-hmm.
got to know the rules. And the rules
Mm-hmm.
are hold it for 12 months. When you take it out in the first 5 years, you give up the last 3 months of interest. So here's a tip for you. If you're going to lose the last 3 months of interest, make sure you give up bad interest, right? You get 6 months of great interest. You
Okay.
get 6 months of probably great interest again. And you might say, I don't like the next rate. I don't like what that
Mm-hmm.
next rate is. Well, if it's you don't like it, it's because it's low. Hold on to it for those 3 months so that you're losing the low rate
Okay.
as opposed to losing the big rate.
Okay. Now, the interest is paid how often?
So it's semi-annual compounding. Some people from the banking world might know what compounding means,
Sure.
but it's interesting. They only look at it and credit it to you basically once a month. When you go to that website, the only place to buy it is through treasurydirect.gov. You've got
Okay.
to buy it through the government because it's a government savings bond. You go there, it's very old, it's very clunky, and so is the way they go about it, where it's not like you get a statement. It's not like you see this interest every single day. Basically, once a month, you will see that they credit you for that interest that you got from the prior month.
Can I take the interest in payment, or do I have to reinvest it in the bond?
Yep. So it's typically, well, it definitely gets reinvested for at least the 12 months,
Okay.
but you can decide then later on how many of these bonds do you want to take out. It's really like that savings bond, that paper savings bond, if you remember, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times came in like a $25 increment.
Right.
And so you can go in and say, yes, I bought $10,000 worth or $5,000 worth or $1,000 worth, whatever it is. You can take out parts of that, uh, and that'll include some interest, some of the money that you put in.
So if I'm reinvesting the interest, it's compounding I'm getting compounded interest on the interest.
That's exactly it. You got it.
Okay. Now, is there a limit as to how much I can invest in Ibonds?
So that's exactly what some people are saying is a downside with Ibonds. The limit is $10,000 per person or entity per year. So
Okay.
$10,000 might not be a lot to move the needle for some people with hundreds of thousands or millions of
Right.
dollars. I'd say for most Americans, that's a good amount of money. Most
Yeah.
Americans might not be able to get to that limit of $10,000.
Now, if I'm a family of four, I can put one in my name, my wife's name, and each of my children.
That's right on. So that's where these limits aren't as bad as they seem. Where you
Okay.
could put in 10,000 yourself, your spouse could put $10,000 in, your kids could put $10,000 in. If you've done some estate planning and have a revocable living trust, you could put $10,000 into there. If you own a
In the name
business,
of the trust.
in the name of the trust.
And if I have an LLC, which I encourage all of my investors to have, I can
Yep,
have it one for the LLC.
that's it. Your LLC can hold it. So someone like
And
myself, I've put it into my name, my wife's name, my trust name, and the LLC name. You've got that ability. I've put into the kid's name. You've got that ability to do that.
how about a Roth IRA? Could I put it inside a Roth IRA?
That's another piece of it that you want to keep in mind. You cannot put an IBON inside of your Roth IRA. You cannot put an IBON inside of your traditional IRA.
Okay.
This is really a replacement for your bank money. The money
Okay.
that would have sat in a savings account for a long time, that would have been part of CDs, that it's more like a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year type of money. But the best thing is you put the money in for a year, and it's not like you have to choose exactly how long you keep it there. You can always decide, I want to keep it here until the day that you don't want to keep it there.
And but that day can't happen in the first 12 months.
Not in the first 12 months, no.
But from that point on, I can take it out and I will forfeit a 3 month. I'll have a 3 month penalty,
Yes.
and that is that on the total. If the rate is now 9% and I take it out, do I lose the whole 9%?
Yeah, it's the prior 3 months interest. So
Okay,
let's
okay, okay. The prior 3 months interest. Okay,
yeah. Yeah, so let's
okay,
play a game. Let's say it's 9% now, 7% that it renews at, and then the first time you could take the money out, 12 months later, the rate comes in at like 2%. And you say,
okay.
I don't like that rate anymore. Really, what you want to do is wait the next 3 months
Right.
so that it's the 2% point interest. It's the lower interest that you lose because it's the
Okay.
prior three
Understood.
months.
Understood.
Yeah.
All right. Any other words of wisdom relative to I-bonds?
You got it. So another part of this $10,000 per person maximum is it's per year, per calendar year.
Oh,
So you might love this idea in September or November or December, and as soon as January 1 hits, you can go through and all the people, all the
wait,
trusts
per calendar year.
per calendar year.
Oh, so I could invest 10,000 in October and then 10,000 again in January.
That's exactly it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. So it's flexible. It's got some flexibility, and you're not truly locked in once you get past that 1 year hurdle.
That's
Okay.
exactly it.
But if I invest in October and then another 10,000 in January, I've on that January one, I've got another 12 months. So each
Yes.
one is handled separately.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, that's very interesting. You had told me on the bus that you had created a white paper that goes into detailed explanation on this.
Yep, we've got the article. It's got all the explanation about how it's calculated with the CPIU numbers because this
Okay.
is an important deal. You want to know how it works out. We've got a tracking, kind of a projection of what the rate would be. As soon as October 13th of 2022 hits, where there's going to be a release of the final CPI number.
Hmm.
We'll be putting on there exactly what the November rate would be. One thing I love about Ibonds is that there's about 2 weeks every year where you know exactly your first rate and the next rate.
And the next rate.
If you've got to hold it for 12 months, it is kind of nice to know exactly what that 12 months might look like. So you've got information on there, links to a lot of great articles, the whole point about the 10,000 person per year and how the prior interest penalties work. We've got that there on our website.
Okay, so it's on your website or in a white paper that you have?
We just put it right there on the website. That way
Okay.
anyone can get it right away. Just click on the link.
Sometimes it's challenging on government websites how they work. Do you by chance have a tutorial that we can access to help walk us through that?
Thanks for bringing that up because at the bottom of this article, we've got resources. And the first one is an article I wrote. It was for nextavenue.org. And I've got a link to it. It's 9 steps on how to buy Ibonds. So I have
Okay.
screenshots and line by line. How do you go to treasurydirect.gov, open an account, go in and buy those Ibonds?
Okay, so do you have that on a PDF that they could come to the description here and get access to?
We'll make it happen.
Okay, that's what we'll do, folks. Jeremy's going to give me a PDF. I'm going to load it up so that you can go down in the description and get access to it, and it'll walk you through exactly how Ibonds work. If you should forget what we said, and also how you can go on the government website and make it happen. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So
Yeah.
let me dig in a little bit. How long have you been a financial advisor?
So I've been a financial advisor about 20 years. We help people
Oh, you
make
don't look
great
that
retirement
old.
decisions. Oh, thank you.
You started young.
I'll take it. Yeah, I started right out of college.
Okay. And are you an RIA or are you affiliated with a broker?
Yeah, I do not have my broker license. That's the FINRA Series 7 license. You know what
Right.
I'm talking about,
I
Carrie.
do.
So when I help you with your investments, there's absolutely no commission. We are part of the RIA world where we are providing investment advice, and it's the client that pays us compared to a mutual fund company or something like that.
So in other words, you're a fee for service.
Right, that's exactly it.
Okay. Are you licensed to do business outside of Wisconsin?
Yeah, with that investment advisory agreement, with that being in that world, we can help out anybody in the whole 50 states.
Okay. So just tell me how we can get in touch with you, and then I'll put that in a link as well.
Perfect. So we're the Keil Financial Partners. Our website is keilfp, keilfp.com.
Okay. And from that, they can get in touch with you. Do you have a first introductory package, or how do you work? Let's say I'm living in Birmingham, Alabama, and I like Keil and I want to explore it a little bit. How would we first get involved?
Yeah, there's a button at the top right that says schedule a free call. You'll get
That's
on my
on your
calendar.
website.
Yep, right on our website, top right
And
button.
again, the name of the website.
It's keilfp.com,
Okay.
keilfp.com.
I'll put that on the screen so that it's easy for them to find.
Perfect.
All right. What do you have an area of specialty? When I was in financial as a financial advisor, I pretty much focused on estate planning. Do you have any specific area that you see as your strength?
Yeah, we help people make great retirement decisions. A lot of
Okay.
people are 55, 60, 65, and they are transitioning to a point where they won't get a paycheck anymore.
Right.
And they have huge one-time decisions about taking their pension, taking their Social
Okay.
Security, getting on Medicare, rolling over their 401k, things like that, where you've got one shot at it. We like to make sure you've got the education, the firepower behind you so you can make some great choices.
Okay. I retired in 2005. We still met in an office. How do you meet with your clients?
Yeah, so we meet people in office, we meet by Zoom, we have phone calls. We're here for you.
So, in other words, you could do just what we're doing with a client and they could live anywhere.
Yeah, we've got plenty of clients that we meet over Zoom. We've got clients we haven't met yet, and we're helping them make great choices.
Okay. All right. Kyle, I think that's wonderful. And it sounds like you know your stuff. I really appreciate I think back at what the odds were. I got on that bus and I could see it was filling up and there was a seat. And so
Yep,
I just sat down and here we are.
you got it. It's fun.
It is. It is. And FinCon was just an enlightening experience. And I came home and told my wife that the next one is in New Orleans, and she said, "You aren't leaving me home this time."
Oh, great. That's a
We
great
love
choice.
New Orleans. Have you ever been to New Orleans?
I've been to New Orleans once, and I went during the daytime, so I imagine it's a little different at night, but
It's
it's a lot of fun.
it's very different at night. Okay. All right, Kyle. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'll just tell you that the reason we started looking at Ibonds is because our clients were coming to us about a year and a half ago saying the interest in my bank accounts is too low. What can I do? So we went and explored and found the different options that were out there. And since the middle of 2021, these Ibonds, when you compare them to things that are virtually the same, the CDs and the 12-month government bonds, they're paying double, triple,
Yeah.
quadruple kind of what their rates in a way should be. It's a market anomaly. It's an arbitrage,
Well,
right?
it's like I say, the Roth IRA was a mistake by the government. It sounds like this was another one.
Well, they came up with both of them around 1998. So
Okay, that's right. Okay,
either there was somebody back in 1998 in the U.S. government that was looking out for the little guy. Whoever
okay.
that was, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Excellent.